Hey, entrepreneurs, is cash flow a constant headache for your B2B or B2G business? Are inefficiencies draining your resources and profits? Well, you're not alone, and we have just the solution. In this episode, fintech expert David Ademola and I will be diving deep into the world of B2B payment solutions. We'll explore strategies to accelerate your cash flow, streamline your operations, and improve your payment acceptance security. Join us and uncover how tailored payment solutions can revolutionize your business and transform your financial strategy on today's Profit with a Plan podcast. Hey, entrepreneurs, are you trying to make bigger profits in your small business? If you're like most of us business owners, increasing your profitability is always on your mind. And you're probably looking for ways to grow your revenue while growing your company. Well, you found a podcast that shares ideas to help you do just that. I'm Marcia, Riner, known as the Profit Booster, and I'm a business growth strategist. I've helped tons of small business owners to establish and implement a tangible plan that guarantees increased profitability, guides your growth, and plans for a future exit. Because building a highly profitable and sale-ready business creates a win-win scenario. That's more money now and a windfall when it's time to let go. And I want to share strategies that I've learned with you on today's Profit with a Plan podcast. But before we get started, I have something special to share with you. If you've ever wanted to supercharge your business, avoid profit plateaus, operational headaches, or growth roadblocks, well, I've created a brand new Profit Booster playbook just for you. You'll uncover 3 essential strategies and a quick way to take action on them. Now, this isn't just a single-page report. It's filled with impactful strategies, actionable steps, and expert guidance to help you elevate your profits. Go download this free playbook at boostingprofit.com. All right, my guest today is fellow provisor David Ademola, and he is a highly experienced professional in the fintech industry, specializing in B2B payment solutions. With over 10 years of expertise, he has honed his skill in helping large, medium, and large-size organizations in the business-to-business and business-to-government divisions. His clientele includes entities such as manufacturers, wholesale companies, distributors, municipalities, transportation, logistics, and nonprofits, as well as many others. As a B2B payment solution expert, David's primary objectives revolve around cash flow, improving the inefficiencies, and my goodness, tax relief, right? His expertise and extensive expertise and focus on that B2B and B2G sector suggests that he understands the unique challenges and requirements faced by these types of organizations. Clients working with David can expect tailored payment solutions that cater to their specific needs, supporting their financial goals. David, welcome to Profit with a Plan podcast. I'm so excited to have you on today.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. Okay, so payment solutions.
Yes.
So I figure you didn't start a lemonade stand when you were 4 and decided you were going to jump into payment solutions. So how did you get into it?
Well, good question. So out of college, I was working in sales. And it was just kind of one of those things that kind of dawned on me. I wanted to kind of work a little bit more with the general public. And I started kind of looking into payroll and those type of industries, right? And then I got a call from a gentleman named Dave Holman, and he reached out to me talking to me about payment solutions, payment processing. There was a payroll company called Heartland, and they had a payroll division as well as a payment processing division. This gentleman worked in that division, and I never heard of it before. It made complete sense though when you go to a location or business. How do you pay for stuff? That entire process, right? And that's how I got introduced to that space over 11 years ago, and been doing it since. It's been amazing.
Wow. We all normally fall into something somewhere, and then we find that this becomes our expertise and we
Yeah.
start to really enjoy it and develop so much more into it. But something that caught my attention beyond just accepting credit cards at a scanner or online for your website, there's so many more options around payment solutions that I
Right.
know business owners are totally in the dark about. So that's
Correct.
why I wanted to bring you on today and
Yeah.
talk about the different ideas and things that they can do to improve that cash flow and operational inefficiencies.
Absolutely, absolutely, and thanks for having me. So yeah, just as we were talking about my first experience at Heartland, which was more focused on your traditional retail, right, restaurants and things of that nature. And then I moved into more of the B2B space, and that was very interesting. Never really thought about it, right? But for example, on a low level, a dental lab, right? That's B2B. Who do they supply? Dental offices, right? So it makes a lot of sense. And they're using their cards, their corporate cards, their business cards, and they're also using ACH and wire transfer as well, too. A number of different options of payments. And those transactions are typically larger, but also require more security because you're dealing with a business to business, multiple entities, right? Also require more data. And that data is what really helps these organizations reduce those processing fees by up to 30%.
What?
Anywhere from, yeah, realistically, we're seeing anywhere from 20 basis points to 100 basis point spread per transaction. Yeah,
Wow.
in those spaces. So it's
Okay, wait a
something that
minute, hang on. That's really significant for
is.
any payment processing company because you're often paying anywhere between, let's say if you've got a good deal, you're somewhere around, 2%, 1.9 up to 3 or 4%, and then there's delays on getting paid. So
Yep.
if you can cut that margin, then you're going to get so much more money out of the charge you already earned, I
Right.
mean,
Correct, correct. And it really helps the bottom line,
mm,
right? It really improves the bottom line. And then the efficiency parts are we have multiple integrations. So into multiple platforms. So for example, your QuickBooks platforms, right? So I work with CPAs and bookkeepers because they use QuickBooks and usually they are looking for ways to improve efficiencies and also reduce cost, right? Because
right.
QuickBooks can be pretty expensive. So we work in that space with QuickBooks, Zoho, which is another accounting platform, multiple CRM and multiple healthcare management solutions as well too. And our tool is really our open API integration that helps reduce those fees by the interchange optimization. The interchange optimization is what Visa and MasterCard have created a platform basically called interchange optimization. And if you enter certain required data, such as invoice, CVV, your account number, your merchant postal code, things of that nature, about 12 to 14 items, right, on the B2B side, on level 2. And then on the level 3, which is even higher, more your manufacturing, larger manufacturing, nonprofits, municipalities, right? Those organizations, you're seeing anywhere from, say, 30 to 80 basis points difference for those transactions,
Wow.
right? So
And by adding this information, it's proving to the credit card company and the vendor that this is a legitimate transaction, right?
it reduces, correct, and it reduces risk. Traditionally, without that information, there's high risk to chargebacks,
Mm,
right? And things of that nature, which definitely could hurt a business. So with those data, with those interchange optimization data, it really reduces the risk, improves the efficiency, and helps with really helping that cash flow and getting those funds into their account the next day.
mm,
Since don't have to wait for a check that clears in 3 to 5 days, right? If they're
right.
if they're accepting corporate or business cards.
Wow. Okay. So, and I think the other inefficiency is that if you're connecting your accounting software that already has all of this information,
Right.
then you're also saving time on data entry and having someone to manually put in this information and then connect the dots and make the invoice paid and all that other kind of stuff because it's all automated, right?
All automated is very you're spot on, super spot spot on. It's all automated, right? And what that does is, especially when we're in that QuickBooks environment, those Zoho, those accounting platform environments, we're just extracting the data that you currently have in your platform,
Mm,
and we're just moving on with that information, right? And just processing with that data. So you're not, there's no manual data entered on your end. There's no double entry on your end. We're taking processes that are 3 to 5 steps and reducing them to 1 to 2 steps.
nice. Nice. That saves labor charges and errors, right?
Exactly. We all know
Nice.
sometimes you have those fat thumbs, right? Those fat fingers.
What are you
Double
talking about?
double double entry, triple entry, and some of these things. And you don't have to really do that anymore.
Nice, nice. In today's business of, space, there's so much that we can automate in our day-to-day operations and even into our payment and accounting operations that can truly save errors, accounting time, fees to your accountant because your accountant's not having to hunt down the data that they want on
Correct.
there because it's all right out in front. So exponentially, I can
Yep.
see that this can really have an impact on businesses and their finances.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's the key to it, helping that bottom line and helping improve those efficiencies that help businesses run better.
Awesome. This sounds so exciting. Okay. So now just accepting a credit card from your customer, that's
Mhm.
not the only payment way or benefit that we can add value to, correct? There's additional ways, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, you could, as far as, yes, you can make a payment to your customer. You could have a link where they could go on and actually activate either ACH, e-check, or even a credit card as well too. Multiple credit card, Visa, MasterCard, Amex options, all the 4 major card options. And then as far as CRM goes, CRM and ERP solutions, we have integrations. We have an open API, so we have integrations into those platforms as well too. So never having to change your environment is also part of our efficiencies as well too, helping those efficiencies where you don't have to change your environment. You can continue to work in that NetSuite environment because we have integrations with it, and we're just helping you improve areas that you may be lacking.
So such as and you threw some acronyms out there about owning your inventory space and others, but I can imagine too that you don't have to, maybe if the integration is all in there and you've got a really strong inventory integration, then maybe you don't have to carry as much inventory, right?
Exactly at the time. So now it helps you become the word again, the word of the hour, efficient, right? You become a lot more efficient because you don't have to carry as much inventory, and you know what's selling and what is not selling, and you know what time of the year it's selling as well too. Just helping with all of those, connecting all of those dots under one platform, it really helps move the needle for these organizations.
And I think what you're suggesting is not leaving your current software that you use, it's having that integration and communication
Exactly.
with those softwares that
Correct.
make your process and your ideas so much more impactful. Because a lot of people get married and they're like, oh my God, I don't know how I could ever leave my software that manages my inventory, right? And what is the acronym on that one again?
So CRM and ERPs, right?
ERPs and
Yeah.
CRMs, right?
Yes. Yes.
So,
Yes.
so that ERP software, which is incredibly important for anybody who has a SKU or
Yeah.
selling a product or has a product that makes another product,
Right.
um, and having that flexibility to know exactly where you are in the process, right? Do I
Yep.
have extra parts? Do I need more parts? Do I need to sell this out here? And I think, having the right kind of software that can help understand the decisions you need to make is really what
Yeah.
we're building off of here, right?
Absolutely. And even in the situation where you are outgrowing your current platform, right? You're in a position where we kind of reached a point where you've outgrown your CRM or your ERP, and you're looking for an alternative. This is where we come in, and we could provide you with some alternative suggestions, right? Now, we're talking really more of some platforms that we have integrations with that we could really speak on. We've had experience with these platforms, we have feedback with them, and based on your needs and based on your industry, there is something out there that it could be tailor-made specifically for you.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
So having that integration is essential for keeping those inefficiencies and the costs down. So we know that getting speed of payment and reducing fees for your processing is a huge way to increase cash flow. And then having the reducing the inefficiencies back and forth and being able to communicate through multiple systems at the same time can really reduce those inefficiencies as well.
Correct.
So some of the things that I think that have caught my mind as of recently are, looking at ways that we receive payment from our customers. So
Yeah.
not just in the swipe, here's the business card and go, but say I've got a bigger purchase, right?
Yep.
And that vendor or that buyer wants to have some sort of a term, right? Can you pay me same as cash in 30 days or 60 days? Or sometimes when you're dealing with the government industries, it could be 6 months before you get
Yep.
paid.
Yep. Yeah.
So are there opportunities to improve that and maybe take advantage of ideas along the way?
I mean, there's certain things you could do with, you could have scheduled reoccurring billing, right? For those, and for clients that could be 30 days, 60 days out, maybe providing a solution where you're accepting a virtual card, right? That really help you improve the efficiencies when it comes to money management and the accounts payable piece.
Okay.
I would say those are probably some alternatives that could be made. Usually we see that in the construction space, right? Or as you mentioned, in the government space. But between those, there are slowly accepting the virtual card option a lot more, because it does help those entities really keep a stronghold between who is spending and what their spend is on, right? So it really allows them to run a little bit more of a tighter rope, I guess you would say, on their team, and when it
Okay.
comes to dollar bills that are being spent.
Okay. So describe that virtual card a little bit more.
A virtual card would be basically, a virtual card is something that is issued to a specific individual, then they would be able to spend a specific dollar amount that is allocated to them. The
Hmm.
virtual card could be controlled. For example, virtual card could be approved specifically for gas at a gas station, but not anything at the snack bar, right?
Ah, got it.
Right.
Got it.
So, and you have a dollar amount, and you could basically remove or deactivate the card at any given moment, and or reactivate the card at any given moment.
And does the user have a physical card that they're using at that time, or is it just an
No,
account number?
just a card, usually on an iPhone, or you
Oh,
could
like an Apple Pay or Google
Apple Pay.
Pay,
Yeah, like Apple Pay. They can have a screenshot.
PayPal.
They can have a screenshot of it too. So if they really physically need numbers, they could use that. There would be specific numbers allocated to them, kind of like a regular credit card, but it would be a virtual card specifically.
And so now through software such as yours, you can actually manage spending as well as the receipt of incoming money coming in.
Correct. Correct.
Nice.
Correct.
Nice.
So
Okay.
that's going to be a really interesting feature for those construction organization, those manufacturing organizations that have maybe a 30, 60, 90-day, 3 month, or like 6 months, 7 months spent, right? Before before they're actually paid out, right? A lot of these organizations in those construction spaces, that's usually how they operate. They're floating money.
Are there any advantages that, besides the virtual cards, that could help companies that float money, that, basically give away those terms to their buyers?
Well, if some organizations, I mean, not necessarily, besides, I would say ACH, e-checks would be an option, as well too. Um, or if they wanted to pass on the fees to the consumer. Right.
Okay.
But,
Yeah.
but
Is that a
typically,
widely accepted in the community? I mean, in the B2C, I mean, customers frown on that, but in B2B, is that something that's normally accepted to say, hey, you know what? You want to use, for this large expense, you want to put it on a credit card, I'm going to have to charge you 3% above that. Is that
yeah,
normal?
I mean, we are starting to see that a little bit, but we definitely see a lot more acceptable in the restaurant, quick serve restaurant industry. Um, Maybe not so much in the fine dining. I would say nonprofits industry is kind of expected, but HOA, those type of spaces is kind of necessary and kind of accepted. In the B2B world, my honest opinion, I think the cost of the 3%, whatever it may be, I think that cost should be included into the cost of the goods
Got
or
it.
services. That way, you could always, just food for thought, it would be if it was included into all the processes, into all the fees, I think that would make a lot more sense because then if you do get ACH
Cash.
or cash,
What is that, right?
who knows? There's things with a lot of germs, right? That's what right. So if people do move forward with that option, now you're going to see, well, a little bit more of a premium or more of an increase in your profit margin now because you've allocated 3%, but you have maybe 30% of your clients are paying you with cash or e-check. So it makes a lot
But then you can always make that adjustment on hey, let me
easier.
give you a 3% discount because you're paying with cash, rather than saying, let me charge you an additional 3% to use your credit card. I
That
think the mindset on that is more welcoming for
well,
people.
it is
Oh, I got cash in my back pocket. I could pay you cash now, right?
correct.
Versus swiping the card that we're so comfortable with as consumers. Um,
That is
and
the
in business, it sure makes it easier to track that way, though.
It does. It's called cash discount. Right now, you can offer that solution. I I would say typically you'll see that in also the quick serve restaurant space as
Yeah,
well.
the retail.
Not necessarily in the B2B space, but it is something that you can offer in the B2B space as well too. You got to be kind of careful how you do that. And as well as a number of other precautions you have to put in place when you're offering, whether it's surcharge or cash discount. There's a difference between the two, and that's something we will definitely want to educate clients on. Surcharge is legal in multiple states, but in a couple states is not.
Mm, that's good to know.
Yeah,
And then I think also, when you're looking at your numbers and you offer a cash discount or a discounted percent,
correct.
it significantly affects the bottom line. Whether you think it's just dollar for dollar, taking 3% off the check, it's not.
No,
And when you run out the numbers on it, it is a significantly higher number than you ever expected because it affects a different percentage or a different portion of whether it's cost of goods sold or fixed expenses or transaction expenses, right? Which is also kind of a cost of goods sold. But I mean, these numbers do affect it differently when running the calculations. So definitely be aware if you're going to offer any kind of discounts.
correct. And that's food for thought, right? Always
Yeah.
something that clients want to make sure that they think about, and their margin, overall, their margin. What does that look like? Can you afford to offer that? And can you not afford to offer that?
Right. And I think that racing to the bottom, right, is never a good place to be in. I'd rather see you on the top of the mountain and charging the highest amount and for the premium and the service and the value you provide rather than rushing to the discount and competing with a Walmart or an Amazon kind of environment where nobody wins.
Right.
The house wins, Amazon wins.
Usually they, yep, exactly, exactly.
Exactly. Gosh. Okay. So David, how do we what are some really good tips that we want to think about as B2B or B2G type companies, right? Not necessarily business to consumer where you're competing in that other space, but
Yeah.
in a B2B environment, what are some of the tips that we should think about to really improve our efficiency and our cash flow?
Yeah. So one thing to think about is what are your current steps or processes, right? If it's multiple data needs to be entered prior to you running a corporate or business card, you may want to rethink that. How are clients servicing you? Or how are you servicing your clients? What are you providing your clients in order for you to run your business? Are they checking out online? How are they, does it take them 2 or 3 steps, 4 steps? What does that process look like?
So the
Can it be
user
approved?
experience, right?
Correct. Can it be approved? As well as your experience as well too on your end, right? If you're using a virtual terminal, if you're in a virtual terminal setting, can that be improved? Is it multiple steps as well too? And also, are you receiving level 2, level 3 optimization? Do you even know what that means?
Well,
Right.
I'm surprised about it today. So,
Right. Right. No, level 2 and level 3. If you look at your statements and you don't see level 2 and level 3, you're probably not receiving it.
mm,
So when was the last time you've looked at your processing statements at all, or actually ran analysis? There's lots of people that have companies that they go with for 5, 10 years at a time and never run analysis. It's typically good to run analysis every 2 years. So those are some good practices, I would say, in order to kind of just do a quick tune-up or quick check on your business and see if there's some efficiencies that could be ran. Because every 6 months, Visa and MasterCard, they do change the interchange fees,
oh,
right? They change fees in October and in April. So you wanna be cognizant of that.
is it expensive to change companies?
It is not.
It- Okay.
It is
Is
not.
it is it difficult to change companies?
Depends who you're working with. It could be pretty efficient. We work with organizations. We have a pretty specific niche, right? We work with B2B organizations that are in our pool. So if they're using a NetSuite, QuickBooks, ERP, or any of the ERPs on our website, we have a direct integration with them in open API. So we could really help streamline that process. All it is a few API keys to help them move along.
Click.
So yeah, pretty simple on our end. But you really just have to look at your needs and your clientele.
Right. And then if I had if I wanted to do things like subscriptions or memberships or
Yeah.
something that has regular consistent charges, do I have to and I'm considering changing companies just as a thought. Do I have to go get all the forms re-signed and changed and everything else that I'm using you versus another company, or is it pretty unilateral where I can just continue to use my forms?
Depending on what platform you were using before. So if you're using a virtual terminal prior to that, your previous user, they could probably provide you with an Excel spreadsheet or CSV file with your client's data. Everything will more likely be tokenized. So for the most part, you will have to get the client's credit card, but the client's identity and the client's address and that data could be moved along.
Right. But if you're a business and you're running financials, you probably want to have a backup somewhere anyways.
I would
That
imagine.
that Marcia gave you her credit card. She
Yeah.
created some sort of form and authorization, there's a credit card number on there. Now we have security and you're supposed to
Yep.
hold that in a very safe place
Yep.
and so on. But I mean, seems
Usually
like,
there's a vault. Usually there's
yeah,
a vault that they hold this data. It is you're getting it from your current provider, usually through an Excel or CSV file. Once you get that, you'll be able to move along
okay, good.
pretty easily, pretty seamlessly. But for the most part, that's the steps that have to be taken.
Because I know that that's a fear of having to go, oh, well, my client's been with me a couple of years. I have his credit card on file. We get an updated, security code and expiration date every once in a while. But, the last thing I want to do is make him think about, oh, well, if she's asking for a new credit card, maybe I need to look and see if there's someplace else I could buy this at, right?
Of course.
We're all crazy in our own head about, consistency and just, leave it there. Don't change anything because I don't want the client to think about potentially changing as well.
Yeah, and that brings you to a service called credit card updater, which typically you could sign up for, and it will update the credit card, your client's credit card. Now, in this environment, it'll update the credit card if it was, if the card number, if the card expiration date, expired, right? The card expired, the card number is still the same, but the card is just maybe a year expired or expiring in 2 months or whatever the case may be. I'll update it for you, right? Now, if the card's been compromised, and you have a whole new card number, that's completely different,
You have
right?
to go back and get that
You have
anyways
to
from them.
go.
But then the vendor or the purchaser already knows that and they're going to be willing to give the card over.
Correct, correct. But in a situation where the card just expires, you have the auto updater, they'll do that for you.
Awesome. Awesome. Okay. Well, David, there's a lot of information about credit card in the B2B space and how to really take advantage of inefficiencies or get rid of inefficiencies, take advantage of fee structures and processes that you can do in your business to accept money from your customers, which we all have to do on a frequent basis, hopefully a frequent basis.
Yeah,
That we can make these processes easier and smoother and faster and more efficient and effective.
correct.
And that's why I just love the idea of having an expert like yourself that can offer solutions that we business owners probably didn't think about.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
yeah, so where can listeners find out more about you and your company and maybe get a little bit of help or a review?
Yeah, absolutely. So there is a link that I have called longest referral PayNation .com, and that is LONGUST referral PayNation PAYNATION.com. If you have any questions, feel free to go on there and you can message me and I will get to you right away. There is also my phone number and my email address linked there as well. And I'd love to provide a free analysis for you if you are interested in just learning more and seeing if you are receiving level 2 and level 3 optimization. Typically, there's about 2 years ago, there was a study done. There was 93% of businesses in the United States are currently not receiving level 2 and level 3. Those
Wow.
are qualified. So we're out there trying to really help these businesses realize that there's a lot of money left on the table, and they could utilize that in different ways, reallocate that for their business.
Love it. Love it. So important to consider where you're spending your money, where you're saving your money constantly. I think that's one of the first things that I do with my customers is go through a financial audit where we go in and say, okay, what are you spending on? Where do
Yeah,
you need to be spending on? Have you reviewed this? Have you had an audit on each one of these recently?
right.
It's the first place to look. Is there better savings? Is there a better product? Am I getting level 2 and level 3 pricing
Yeah,
discounts?
yeah.
You need to have that done frequently enough as, gosh, maybe even every year, every other year, right? That you go in and you audit your vendors and the places you're spending. So
Absolutely.
good place to start where you're pulling in all your revenue from, right?
Makes sense.
Makes definite sense. All right, listeners, thanks for listening today. I hope you found an idea or two to put into your business that will help your business be more profitable. And as I'd mentioned before, if you want to supercharge your business, go download my new Profit Booster Playbook, packed with 3 profit strategies and the actionable steps that you can use to make this your most profitable year ever. Go grab it for free at boostingprofit.com. And David and I would love to hear your questions. Give us an idea. Where's your payment processing? When was the last time you did your payment processing review? Is there any place that you might need some help or didn't realize? Or just ask a question. Hey, what's level 3 mean? And David and I will respond back. So hit us up in the comments and we will definitely comment back on it. And while you're at it, please subscribe. You don't want to miss any future shows, and you can always catch Profit with a Plan on any of your favorite podcast players every Tuesday. And we're looking forward to more great profitable information on next week's show. So until then, make your plans and profit. Thank you so much, David. This was helpful.
Thanks, Marcia. Appreciate it.